This is the Market Your Business Like a Pro podcast, episode 64. Welcome to this week's episode of the Market Your Business Like a Pro podcast. I'm Ken Countess, and today I'm delighted to have Edwin Dearborn. Edwin is CEO and co-founder of Premier Lead Systems, and we're going to talk about how to generate leads and new customers from social media. Edwin, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I love doing these.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. And Edwin's in Las Vegas. We all love talking about Lost Wages, Nevada.
Fabulous Las Vegas.
Yeah. So good to have you here, and I'm looking forward to our conversation. Edwin's been referred to as a marketing expert by the Orange County Register, and he's been featured in Entrepreneur, Social Media Today, and some other national media outlets. And what he does is help companies attract a steady stream of ideal clientele so they can reach their goals. And I'll let you pick up on that and give our audience a better sense of who you are and what you do.
Okay, great. Well, thank you. Thanks again for having me. I grew up with entrepreneurial parents, and my very first job back in the early 80s is they owned a travel agency. Oh. And marketing back then was handing out flyers, right?
Sure.
So I didn't have any skills. I was 19 years old. I was in college, but my family had this brick and mortar travel agency. Mm-hmm. So I thought I'll help out by handing out flyers. And we were in a business park in Irvine, California, where there was literally thousands of other of these small brick and mortar businesses in these business parks.
Sure.
So I went around, handed out the flyer, door to door, and I did it for a few weeks. And my mother said, "Hey, Eddie, those flyers are working. We're actually getting people calling us and buying tickets and buying vacations." And I was like, "Really?" I was impressed that I was actually able to create an effect in the business world, right? So I said, wow, there's something to this marketing. So the next semester in college, I took some classes on advertising.
Okay.
And those classes hooked me. Like, I was fascinated with all the classic books on advertising, and positioning, The Battle for Your Mind, and by Trout and Reese and David Ogilvy and all the greats, right?
All the greats,
all the greats. And I started reading their books, and I just found that I was attracted and extremely interested in marketing and advertising. It just piqued something, a purpose in me. Well, a few years later, I went to work for an actual advertising agency in Orange County, California for a number of years. Uh-huh. I was in business development. So I got to hang out with all the creative people and go on pitches and hear the different ideas going around. And now I was like, wow, I'm really working in the world of advertising.
Yeah.
And so from there on, I just stayed in sales, advertising, and marketing for the rest of my life, no matter where I went. And I found a lot of success. I also found some failure, right? Like everybody else.
Yeah, we've all been there.
All been there. And then early 2000s, right around maybe 2004, 2005, I knew instinctively that digital marketing was it was going to be the thing. Right. So I went to work for a guy that did websites. Back then, 2004, websites were like, wow, you've got a website, right? We're doing SEO.
I still run into people who do that. Oh, wow, you have a website. Whoa.
I know. Well, back then, it is a little shocking, but back then it was pretty exciting, right?
Yeah, sure.
And then in 2006, YouTube came out, Twitter came out, and I just knew intuitively that I was seeing something that was literally going to shift human endeavor and how we communicate. So I just instinctively dove heavily into it and started reading books and going to seminars, and as well as working in the industry. Fast forward to about 2015, I wrote my first book. I was writing my book along. I was taking notes and writing various accounts of what I was learning. But I wrote my book on a very specific principle. The number one thing that I ran into is everybody says I'm overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
Small business, big business.
Yeah.
I traveled to Europe, all across the United States. Everybody was saying we're overwhelmed. So I wrote the book on the premise of how about I put a gradient, a step-by-step approach to the very problem of overwhelm,
Mm-hmm.
and really bring about a sense of, okay, here's some baby steps. Here's some practical things that you can do to get involved. You're not going to do everything,
Right.
but if I get you to do one or two things well, then I can grow your skills from there, right? You know, it's
Sure.
white
Just
belt,
build
then
upon
yellow
your
belt.
success. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my book, Power Branding Secrets, right here, if you're on video. And you can go to Amazon. And that book was one of my best moves because it really now positioned me as an author and opened the door to be able to educate. And I've been on the speaking circuit and, you know, podcasts and things like that. And again, I still find the same thing. Lots of overwhelm. Where do I begin? What should I do?
Yeah, particularly for entrepreneurs who may have a certain skill set, but marketing is not their thing, or startups or small businesses,
Mm-hmm.
and even big businesses too. I mean,
Yep.
you know, I came out of the corporate world. I spent a long, long time there. And it doesn't matter how big your staff is, unless you're really fortunate to have an enormous staff, you can't get it all done. And I think coaching from someone like you who says, you know, take these baby steps, taste some success, and then broaden makes a whole lot of sense.
Yep.
I was on your LinkedIn page, and one of your recent posts was on right time marketing, and the 4 points you made: right person, right channel, right moment, right answer. Wow, you know, I think those are the kinds of things that a lot of people overlook. Would you mind expanding on those?
Yeah, you know, one of the points of overwhelm, you know, we've gotten to the point now with social media that you've got to create content to make social media make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because people are like, well, what do I post? What do I say?
Yeah.
I said, well, there's the crux of the situation. What do you say? That otherwise it's like, you know, social media really is just the communication channel. I still have to put a communication particle that travels across the channel, right?
Right.
I still have to say something of importance or value.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times when to help break down the overwhelm is, well, who do you want to attract? You know, well, everybody. Well, no, that's not true. We don't want everybody,
Right.
right?
That's
As you
spray
know,
and pray marketing.
that's right. And then now that we've identified who, the types of people you want to talk to, what are their habits? What are their needs right now? Where are they? Are they on Facebook? Are they on Twitter? Do they watch a video? Do they like to read? Let's take the deep dive into their mindset, their needs, their aspirations, their fears, because then we can start to make sense of the types of communication we want to create and how we want to send it to whom.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, if I'm trying to reach young people with fashion, I'm going to be on Instagram, right? I may even have a fashion channel on YouTube. If I'm trying to reach an older demographics, believe it or not, Facebook is great for people that are 50 years and older. And people are like, are older people really on social media? I'm like, yeah. Facebook is how parents and grandparents keep track of their grandchildren and children,
That's so true.
right? And so we have to and then we have to understand, okay, what would the grandparent, if they're on Facebook, what would be the content that they would respond to?
Mm-hmm.
How do we offer your brand? What is the story that we tell that they can relate to, so that it's clickable and shareable, and it stops them in their tracks going, that I want to try, that I want to check out. So when we break that down into real-time marketing, because the world is moving so fast, we have to look at not only consumer behavior, but we have to look at analytics.
Mm-hmm.
And that combined information allows us to create real-time marketing, you know, because you take a look at politics. How fast do sentiments change in politics?
In the
Well,
blink of an eye sometimes.
in the blink of an eye. And that's real-time marketing. You have to understand literally week to week, or what's the needs of investors. You know, one day the stock market's up, the next day it's crashed. And now sentiment has changed. So the content you use during the summer may not resonate like the new content that we got to create for the sentiments of today.
Sure, sure. You've got to be both proactive and reactive, and the analytics give you a real great opportunity, if you pay attention to them, to understand how you've got to tweak your messaging. Because you're
Absolutely.
right. I mean, things do change so quickly, and if you're not paying attention to it, you fall by the wayside too.
Yeah, and that's what happens. I think that there's a set it and forget it kind of mentality. Well, we've got our brand. This is our message. This is how we do business. This is what we say. And they go, why aren't people responding to
Yeah,
our content like they used to? It's like the world changed. That's what happened.
yeah.
I
The
mean,
world
look at
changed.
Toys R Us and Blockbuster. I mean, you know, and Sears. The world changed.
Yeah, those are such great examples of people who took their eye off the ball and did not respond. So what do you think, what are the three things that a business should do that would transform them from the steady state, we're kind of making it to like, wow, this is it? What are the three transformational things they should do?
Great question. Number one, you've got to get the buy-in of all the top executives to make the transformation.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people in middle management, lower management, or even a junior partner in a small business that wants to do it. And I've seen that so many times. You get a couple excited people, but the CEO isn't excited.
Right.
And it's not going anywhere because he just squashes everything.
Sure, he
So
or
the
she, and,
first,
and you have to get that buy-in. Absolutely, got to get the buy-in at the top. Okay, so that's
you
point number
have
one.
to.
What's number two?
Point number two is really determining what your strategy is. And that starts with understanding what we talked about earlier, understanding your customer. So who is our guy? Where is he? What's he thinking? Whether it's surveys, interviewing your salespeople, interviewing your guys, bringing on some professionals with analytics. Let's really understand the customer. Even though we've been servicing them for 10, 15, 20 years, let's not take anything for granted. Let's really, in a new unit of time, review who this person is and their habits. And more importantly, what are their fears, needs, their psychographics. We don't want to just know their demographics. We want to know their psychographics. So that'll be point number two.
And number three.
Point number three is you have to, at some point, embrace video.
Yes.
You have to embrace video. And this is also a big transformational point because what I have found is that although people love video, they consider it to be the most difficult content to create. So there's this video, it's this insurmountable wall, and then you want me on the video? So then I have to work out a strategy of like, well, we can get actors. A lot of brands use actors, whether they're famous actors or non-famous actors. We can use explainer videos with cartoons. There's a lot of ways to get them to get going with it without necessarily have to put them on it. But
Right.
video
But to that point, Ed, we get so many people who are reluctant, and yet on the flip side of it, particularly if you're a small business, that video, even though you're not a video pro, you're not an actor, paid actor or actress, it shows authenticity. Right?
Totally.
And one of the really interesting things that we found is, for better or for worse, YouTube has sort of enabled a lowering of the bar, right? Our expectations are lower now because there's so much video content out there. A lot of it is good, fair, average, poor, mediocre, excellent, whatever. But just getting out there, getting your voice out there, getting your face out there is really important, and it's better than doing nothing.
Yeah. Although, and I'll tell you something, absolutely, and transparency
Hmm.
is the key to trust.
Right,
And when you have someone's trust, you get their business, right?
right.
More often than not. Here's an
So the
interesting.
three transformational things, just to recap, is get the buy-in at the top, get that
Mhm,
CEO involved, get their buy-in.
mhm.
It's that understand the demographics and psychographics. And number three was video, right?
Transform your findings into content into video. And I wanted to tell you one very interesting statistic.
Yeah, please do.
Only only 5% of the businesses in America have one YouTube video or more. The vast majority of brands, small businesses, don't even have one video.
Yeah,
So I tell them, if you're the one that's creating video in your niche, in your field, this will be the biggest factor for you to stand out. Because
that's
most of your
so true.
competition, and I'll even beg the question to you right here. The next time you go to speak, I do this all the time to speak. Raise your hand if you're successfully leveraging video to build your brand. And almost nobody, I know you are, but if I've talked to realtors in St.
Yeah,
Louis, I've talked to realtors in Seattle, I've talked to investment brokers and dentists in Orange County, these large groups. Almost, it doesn't matter what field I go to, almost no one is leveraging the power of video. Yet YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. And do you know this? Here's an interesting statistic. The word YouTube is Googled almost 3 times more per month than the word Amazon.
is that right?
So,
That's
and,
great.
and we know how big Amazon is, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Edwin Dearborn, great information, great insights, great ideas to help people grow their business. This is time for your shameless promo or plug. How can people reach out to you?
Well, just like you were mentioning earlier about my article on LinkedIn, reach out to me on LinkedIn, Edwin Dearborn. You can also go to Amazon and get my book, Power Branding Secrets. And all the strategies we talked about today and more are in my book. And I really wrote it as a do-it-yourself manual.
Excellent. Edwin Dearborn, thanks so much for joining us on the Market Your Business Like a Pro podcast. And I look forward to the next time we chat.
All right, thank you.
That's it for this week's episode. Hey, if you enjoyed this episode and you're a regular listener, even if you're not a regular listener, go ahead and visit us on our Podbean website. That is where we store all of these podcasts. It's marketyourbusiness.podbean, that's podbean.com. And follow us there. Let us know that you really enjoy the podcast by following us. And this way you'll get alerted every time there's a new episode. Thanks for being a listener. We really do appreciate it. And don't forget to tell your friends, too, about the Market Your Business Like a Pro podcast. You can find it everywhere. Check out all of our episodes of the Market Your Business Like a Pro podcast. It's on our website, marketyourbusiness.co. Look for the podcast tab, and there you'll find all previous episodes. And while you're on our website, don't forget to check out all the other resources and sign up for our weekly newsletter, too.
Thanks for listening to the Market Your Business Like a Pro podcast with Ken Countess. Be sure to visit marketyourbusiness.co to access show notes, discover our fantastic content, and sign up for our mailing list. Have questions? Send Ken an email, ken@thecountessgroup.com, or Twitter @CountessGroup. See you next time.
If you need help with this or anything else related to marketing your business, reach out to us.